might be holding you back. And so let's begin to talk about this. Again, welcome to the Higher Self Podcast. My name is Enrico Fiorinelli, your fitness sensei, your self-help guru, and the person that's going to help coach you into being the best you that you could possibly be. And today what I wanted to talk to you about is detachment. Now, detachment isn't exactly what a lot of people think that it is. It doesn't mean not being connected to anything. What I really mean when I'm talking about detachment is not holding on to things that hinder your growth, that hold you back. So let's start out by talking about what initially brought this premise upon me. And really is the idea that so many people have, and that's that they couldn't possibly make that change. So this comes in many, many different forms. So let's use a basic example. A client of mine was talking to me about their friend that was in a relationship with a girl that literally holding them back in everything that they did. They got them to spend their money. They didn't want them changing careers. They didn't want them getting a better job. They didn't want them buying a house. They didn't want them to do anything. They didn't want them to work out. They didn't want them to do anything that was going to help them improve who they were as a person or help them advance forward. So this is an anchor. And that's really a concept that I bring home to you. And that's these anchor points. So an anchor is what's going to be weighing you down in life. It's something that's going to be kind of holding you in place. And it could even be dragging you further down if your boat or if the lifestyle that you're building isn't helping keeping you buoyant enough. So you're at a particular state. And what happens is you have your job, your career, your fitness level, all of those things. That's where they are. And then this different stimulus will get introduced to you. Now, an anchor could be everything from your house to your job, your career, where you live. All of these things are anchoring you. They're holding you in one specific place. And what I want you to realize is there's sometimes that you need to just cut anchor and move on. That anchor is doing nothing but holding you down. In other scenarios, and we're going to break those down, is what an anchor will do is it's going to actually help elevate where you're at and help keep you stabilized and help you stay the course. So when we talk about detachment, it's about identifying what is going to be holding us down and stopping us from growth and what's going to be holding course, what we need to actually hang on to. And those are two very different things, but they operate the same way. We want to make sure that we're attached to what's keeping us on track, but we want to detach from those things that might be holding us down. So you're there, you have your job, everything is feeling good, you feel this kind of homeostasis, and that's another anchor. Is everything's kind of at that norm, and we're afraid of change. So now a new stimulus comes in, and you might have an idea in your head of exactly where you want to be or how you want things to go. And because you're introducing this new stimulus, now all of a sudden they don't want things to change. Again, I like the example of a relationship because it's very obvious. We've all been in that relationship where the person that we're with is really holding us back for one reason or another. And the way that that'll look like is they'll go to you, well, do you really have to go to the gym now? Or why are you looking for another job? Your job's so good. Or why do you want to get a haircut? Why are you selling this? Why do you want to move? And they start to question those things and kind of instill this doubt. And they stop you from making changes that are going to benefit you in the long run. And that's really what that anchor person is going to be doing. Then the other kind of anchor or the other kind of things that we need to detach ourselves from is that fear of change. And I'm not saying that you need to just drastically shift everything that you're doing all the time, but what I want you to do is I want you to realize that you shouldn't be afraid of change. You could always recover. You could always kind of work back in. Regardless of where you're at in life, you've managed to get your way that far. Now, as you get older, as you have more responsibilities, the lifestyle will increase, but there's that much more that you already know how to accomplish. You're that much smarter. You have that much more knowledge. So you shouldn't be afraid to switch things up. And that's really where the detachment comes into, is I want you to have no fear in changing absolutely anything that will help you then improve. If you realize that by switching your job, changing your career, moving on to a different path will help you advance where you are at in life, you should absolutely do that. And that's kind of brings me to the inverse. And that's really what's going to be we'll call them engines. So we have our anchors that are going to be holding us down, but we have our engine to help drive us forward. And obviously, we want to stay attached to the engine, otherwise, we're not going to go anywhere. And I'm going to use the example of my wife. And I'm sorry to embarrass her, but I'm using her as an example here. So I am very, very fortunate where my wife is the driving force behind a lot of the things that I do. She is the thing that always motivates me to get off the couch, to do more, to try to be more. She's the entire reason that I have a podcast, the reason that I do a YouTube channel, the reason that I bring these things up and I'm constantly challenging myself. She helps me push through my barriers, but in the same breath, she's also helping steer the boat a little bit, because what happens is when we're in this tunnel vision of everything that is existent and all we see is what we're doing and how we're doing things, we're not always going to push or challenge that norm. And that's really where you want these people in that are going to help drive you. That's where you want those engines in. So that could be someone obviously directly into your life. It could be a particular goal that you have. It could be a particular lifestyle that you might want to obtain. If you're by yourself, it could be someone that you look up to, maybe as a mentor, especially if you have a personal relationship with those people. I'd highly, highly recommend, working with them to help them, to utilize them to guide you along that path. And in the same breath, it's also that person that's always going to challenge you and help you work out of your comfort zone, because that's what happens is we get attached in our comfort zone. We get attached to things that help us feel comfortable. We get attached to those things and aspects of things that we know, that we're used to, that we're comfortable with. And that's what's going to stop us from changing. So now let's bring it to fitness. You might be comfortable going to bed at, I don't know, maybe 11 o'clock at night. And then you wake up and it's 7 o'clock in the morning and there's your 8 hours of sleep. And that's great and fine. But then you wake up at 7 a.m. Now all of a sudden you're getting ready for work at 7:30. You got to be at work by 9 o'clock. You have a half-hour commute. Now all of a sudden you don't have any time for anything in the morning. And then when you get home, you're tired from your work day and you feel drained and you just want to do something but just decompress, watch TV, and go to bed. Now, that pattern is very comfortable and it's very common, and a lot of people do follow that pattern. But now let's just detach ourselves from our sleep pattern. Let's go to bed at 9 o'clock. Now, you get home from work, let's call it 5, 6 o'clock, you eat dinner, you still have time to unwind. Now, what's going to happen is you go to bed at 9 o'clock. Now, instead of waking up at 7 o'clock, you're waking up at 5 o'clock. Now you have hours in your day where you have energy. You woke up, maybe you have your cup of coffee then, and now you have hours that you're awake where you can do things productive. So maybe you read a book, maybe you go to the gym, maybe you go for a run, maybe you lift weights, whatever you do. But now you have the time just by shifting your hours a little bit because you're detached from that. Now let's talk about real estate, the place that you live. If you're not attached to the place that you live, it's a great way to be able to pivot and make money through the real estate market as it kind of dips and picks up and ebbs and flows. By not having that degree of attachment, that's really what's going to help you be able to pivot and make those angles. If you're not married to your career or what you're doing for a living, you have the capacity to pivot and challenge yourself and challenge new things to be able to be more prosperous. You're able to kind of go where the opportunity is. You're able to pay attention to what moves and what the market is and where people could utilize your help. And you're able to flex your skills into such ways that you could always be moving and improving. And that's really what I want you to do. Is I want you to realize that you could be flexible and dynamic. I want you to stay attached to those things that motivate you, the things that drive you, your goals, your engines, those, where you want to be in 10 years, where you want to be in 20 years, your kids, your family, your wife, those aspects of things that are helping elevate who you are as a person. You got to clinch onto those things with the utmost fervor. You need to really hold onto it, hold it in your heart, and hold it close to you. And then everything else, all the other garbage, if it's not serving you, I want you to discard it. I want you to get rid of it. You don't need it. When it comes to your house, you don't need all that clutter. Be detached from your possessions. If you're not using it and it's not serving a purpose to you, get rid of it. When it comes to bad relationships and bad people, get rid of them. When it comes to your work, if it's not serving your purpose, you don't need to go there. Find another job. start a business, improve yourself, start a podcast, start some side hustles. It doesn't matter what it is. What you need to do is you need to detach yourself from that. You need to break through what's going on in your head, and you need to improve each and every day. And that's really what I want to challenge you to do. I know it's a little bit of a shorter episode today, but I will catch you guys later. I'm going to be doing this more consistently. I promise you. I got some different ideas. We're going to dive deeper into fitness and challenges and how to build different physiques and different things of that nature. But today I wanted to just come at you. I wanted to let you know that you need to be detached from the things that are not serving you and attached to the things that motivate you, the things that elevate you, and the things that do. Again, it's Enrico Fiorinelli, your fitness sensei. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, do all those social media things, help elevate this podcast, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.